want to share a little practice with you because most people are caught in thoughts and programming. This is a practice of deprogramming that you can do yourself. Deprogramming from your thoughts, which is awakening. And in this, when thoughts are deprogrammed, you can experience the bliss of God, as I do, and other people that are free of thoughts do. But the programming keeps us from this direct experience, which is always in us, always is us. I call this the light of God. Rupert Spira might call it the consciousness awareness, and Eckhart Tolle might call it the universe, and Ramana Maharshi called it the self, and many people call it God. It's all the same thing. But this practice of the light of God is, the Buddha called this using a thorn to remove a thorn. So the light of God, conscious awareness, the self, the universe, these are also thoughts. These are also stories. But these stories can help us remove all the other stories. And I'll show you how. If everything is the light of God, if that's your story, your thought, that everything is the light of God, that you are the light of God, until you experience that, the light of God, which is an experience of bliss, and that everything you see, taste, touch, hear, is also the light of God, that there is only the light of God, nothing but the light of God anywhere. It reduces your other thoughts. It dissolves your other thoughts in the light of God, so that the only thought is there's the light of God. And this is how you deprogram all the other thoughts. And when all the other thoughts are deprogrammed, then you no longer need that thorn. You let go of the thought, the light of God, consciousness, awareness, the self, God, or anything else. And you live in reality, in truth. You're free of thought. You can use thoughts, but you're no longer ever believing them. You're no longer ever caught in them as something that you believe are true, because no thought ever is true. So this is a practice that you can do during the week to just practice with it. I am the light of God. I am the light of God. Everything I see is the light of God. If you are the light of God and nothing else the light of God, then you're fall into narcissism. I'm the light of God and you're not the light of God, right? That's a mental illness. So you don't want to do that. But you want to deeply experience that you are the light of God, not a person, not a self, not a human, but the light of God. That your body is the light of God. That your mind, your thoughts are the light of God. So there's just one thought, the light of God. And that when you meet is also the light of God. No matter how they appear, no matter how they act, really it's all the light of God. Whatever you see is the light of God. You look at a mountain, it's the light of God. A tree, it's the light of God. Everything you see, everyone you meet is the light of God. So it's a practice that you do. A practice because at first you're going to say, no, that's my friend George. That's not the light of God. I know that. That's my friend George, not the light of God. That's my dog, not the light of God. That's a tree, not the light of God. So the practice is that you say, no, that's the light of God. It's not George, it's the light of God. It's not a tree, it's the light of God. And as you start feeling the light of God in you, you'll feel it in everyone and everything you see, so that everything is just the light of God. And this is deprogramming your thoughts of separation, because now you believe that George, you, a tree, a mountain, a river, the universe, everyone you meet, everything you see is a different name and form separate from you. That's the dream. That's samsara. That's the illusion. That's the ignorance that awakening frees you from. So you can use this practice of the light of God. It's nice because light of God, it's a little bit less abstract than consciousness awareness, because you know what light is. And light is something that you can feel as well as see. A feeling of love. You know what the feeling of love is. So when you're filled with that, then you can see that so is everything else. Even people who don't experience it, they are also the light of God. Even a rock is the light of God. In fact, a rock is far more enlightened than most people are, because it doesn't have the illusion of thoughts. It just is what it is. Everything really just is what it is. And it's not what we think it is. It just is. Just pure being. Absolutely and completely far more incredible than any of our thoughts could ever be about everything and anything, about ourselves. Infinitely more than what we could ever imagine. And this is what we experience when we let go of thought. We experience truth, reality, the bliss of God, which is always here. Not as a thought, not as a belief. That can't really help us. Now you're hearing my words as thoughts and beliefs, trying to understand them, believing them or not believing them. This is a practice, an experience. When you use this as an experience, a thorn to remove another thorn, it's a thorn because it's a thought. And no thought can be true, even this one. But it's more true than all the other thoughts are. So it's a good thorn to remove the other thorns. It's a single thought. So when this single thought, this single thorn has removed all the other thorns, then we don't need this thought anymore either. It will fall away by itself. But if you're willing to, if you sincerely want to, and I think you do, want to experience truth, reality, and maybe you're beginning to realize that it's beyond thoughts. In the beginning, we practice meditation until we can see our thoughts. So that's one step. We can see our thoughts and realize, oh, my thoughts aren't me. They're just thoughts. They have less importance to us when we really experience that. That's also truth. They're not me. They're just thoughts. And then the next step is we inquire into these thoughts. Are any of them true? Like Byron Katie's wonderful, the work that she developed, which is to question each thought, to see inevitably that that thought's not true. And then the next thought, and that's not true either. And the freedom that comes from realizing that these thoughts that we believe for so long are not true It's a wonderful practice, but it's a practice of thought by thought. And we have a lot of thoughts. So this is the next step, which is to substitute one thought for all thoughts until all thoughts dissolve into this experience of oneness, this experience of the light of God. As if we're shining a light, the light of God, the light of truth on every thought, and realizing they just all dissolve in this because this thought is more powerful than all the other thoughts are. I am a person. I'm the light of God. That dissolves the thought of I'm a person. My friend George is a person. No, it's the light of God. That dissolves my thoughts of George and everything I know about George into the light of God. And you see something amazing when you do this, because your feeling of love increases dramatically when you do this. It's not like, oh, George has gone away, I'm separating myself from George. No, you're not. You're becoming far more one with George, which is love. And that's true of the mountain and the tree and the birds and the universe and everything else that you see. Your love increases dramatically because this is a nature of truth. Love is the nature of truth. So I hope you'll practice this. I hope you'll use this as a practice. And as I say, it's a practice because you have many thoughts, and the more you're attached to thoughts, the harder it's going to be to replace that thought with, it's the light of God. Like if you have a feeling of fear, you can say, oh, that feeling of fear, oh, it's the light of God. It's the light of God. It changes it. It no longer feels like fear. It feels like love. It feels like bliss. It feels like the light of God. So this is a technique for deprogramming. And all of us have been lost in this cult of a dream. Every human. It's not a special cult. It's the cult of all human society, of all humans. We all feel that we're a separate person. We all believe name and form. Whatever language we speak, we all believe name and form. And this distracts us from the reality of truth, of oneness of God, which is the very nature of reality, the very nature of truth, which is why no thought can be true. Even the thought, I am the light of God, everything's the light of God, it's all one, is still a thought, and it's still duality. It's still not truth. Truth is the experience of this. The direct experience of this. Do you have any questions about this before we go?
Peter, I just want to say this was tonight was the best session that I did until now. Mm-hmm. I felt everything that you told about the light of God. I felt everything, the peace, the love, the bliss. I was completely outside of the room, in the space. And is it true? It's true what you said. If you don't pay attention to our thoughts, we can experience this energy at the maximum. It was amazing.
Yeah, you're experiencing this deeper every time, and that's
It's
It's natural to, because you're just opening more. It's
because
you like
now
opening.
I don't have almost no thoughts, and I just focus on what I'm feeling, and I can feel always more and more. I in the end, my body is full of energy, wants to explode.
Yes, there is a lot of energy. The natural energy that we have, the energy of reality, of truth, is so far more than we experience in our thoughts, in our perception of the world, because that has limited reality down to this, what I call a two-dimensional cardboard cutout. Basically, everyone, when we're believing our thoughts, we're only looking at this two-dimensional cardboard cutout. There's no reality to it at all. It's so limited. We don't feel our energy. And often when people first start experiencing this, they experience the energy in the body, and it can feel overwhelming to them. It can feel like, whoa, I have so much energy. I can't sleep. I can't, and when I say you've always had that energy, you just didn't know it. Your whole life you've had that energy. You just didn't know it. But now that you're not distracted by your thoughts, you're starting
Yeah,
to experience what's real.
it's very easy when we start to feel this energy. It's very easy to don't pay attention to the thoughts because it's so good. It's so good what we are feeling. We don't care. We don't
Yeah.
care about the thoughts.
Yes, right. Yes, because your attention has somewhere else to go. It
Yes, it's
goes on
so
to
good
something that's so
when
much
we
better than
feel.
that.
Yes, we feel that love, that bliss. We don't care about any thought. We
Yeah.
just want to receive more and more.
Yeah. Yeah. And there always is more and more. That's also the good thing too. There's
Yes,
infinitely more and more. So there's no end
I
to it.
I know because each session I always receive more and more. It's I see the difference. Always see the difference.
Yeah. 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 No, you've got it, man. It's just there. It is just
I think
is. And
when the people start to experience, it's easy to always get more and more. The
yeah.
difficulty is in the beginning to start to experience. Then it's very easy.
Yeah, it's the thoughts that hold everyone back. If no one believed their thoughts, then all of humanity would be completely enlightened. That's all. That's all. It's just thoughts that prevent us. Thoughts are what prevent us from experiencing the energy, experiencing reality, experiencing ourself, experiencing the world. And the more we let go, even a small amount of letting go of our thoughts, we experience the world in so much more of a profound way, and ourself in so much more of a profound way. Even a small bit that happens. That's why the Byron Katie's work, The Truth, is so useful, because people can come up without ever having any spiritual looking, just having a very serious problem. And they go up and talk to her, and she has them question that thought. And immediately, when they let go of that thought, when they realize that thought isn't true, immediately they have more freedom. Immediately they feel more energy. Immediately they're happier, and there's more peace, and there's more love. So just even with one thought, it happens. When it happens with all thoughts, then you're awake, then you're enlightened. That's all Buddha did. That's all any awakened being ever did, is they let go of their thoughts.
Yes,
you
it's
know
the main thing. Yes.
yeah. In the case of Jesus, the thoughts were called Satan. In the case of Buddha, the thoughts were called Mara. So in all the things, we think Mara was something separate, or Satan was it was just his thoughts. It was just his thoughts. His thoughts came to him and said, don't do this, and I will give you the kingdoms, and all this stuff like that. That was just his own mind. That was just his own thoughts. And he said, no, thank you. I'm more interested in truth. And Buddha did the same. No, thank you. I don't care about the soldiers and the killing me and the dancing girls, or the fear, you know, I'm more interested in truth, and didn't believe their thoughts anymore. So this technique of the light of God, which is something that you experience in this, Pedro. So you've experienced what I'm talking about. That experience is, you can use
Yes,
that
yes.
to increase that and to say everything is this. Everything is this. Someone that gives me a problem and insults me, that's also the light of God. And watch how everything changes in that way. This is non-duality. This is oneness. This is how we bring this experience that we have inside into our engagement with the world, which is the final step in awakening. Is first we awaken in our own being, in our own self, and are fully beyond all suffering. And then we take that into the world and see that, oh, everything is this. Everything is this. Everything is this. And that's why, we feel, I always admire Rupert Spira because he clearly feels that everybody that, comes to him is fully capable of awakening completely, which is true, but you can see that most people, it seems like, wow, they're such a long ways from this. But no, in them, their reality is this. For everyone, no matter how much they doubt it or how suffering they are, they are
and
this.
and one day the people going to realize that it was so easy because
That's
we just need to pay attention. It's always here.
Yeah, that's the big discovery that everyone has on awakening is like, wow, this is the easiest thing there is. And why was I searching for so long? Why was I doing this for so long when this was always here? It's funny, it's sort of a cosmic joke that we have on ourselves that often, in my case, I laughed all day long, just like hysterical laughing over something that was so obvious that somehow I had missed for 40 years that I had missed in all that seeking. Not that seeking is bad. I mean, it shows that we have the desire, the motivation to wake up. And as I say, if you have that motivation and that's strong enough, it's inevitable that you'll wake up. If that motivation is stronger than any other motivation, it's inevitable that you will wake up. It's inevitable because eventually you will say, truth is more important than my thoughts. Truth
Yeah.
is more important than my beliefs. And I'm willing to question every single one of them. The most sacred cows, the most things I'm holding on to, which is often our sense of a self. That's the strongest. If I let go of that, then I'll die. That's the fear. So that's a very strong thing. But if we're willing to question that too, it's inevitable that we'll be free. It's inevitable that we'll realize the freedom that we've always had. That we'll realize, because awakening is a realization. It's not getting anything new. Not getting new knowledge or anything. It's a realization of what's always been here, always. And because of our thoughts, we don't realize it. We're thinking something else. I am a limited person. It's
Yes,
so hard to wake up.
I think almost of the people are waiting for something that come from the outside. But no, everything is inside of us. We just need to pay attention because it's already inside.
Yeah,
But
always has been
sometimes
for them.
the people are waiting for something that come from the outside. But
That's our thoughts. That's what we've been taught. Everything we've been taught comes from outside, right? We go to school, the teacher teaches us about history, mathematics, and whatever else, reading, writing, arithmetic, and we learn all this from a teacher telling us this, socializing us. Our parents tell us these things and we listen. Our friends give us some more information. We listen to the news and it gives us more information. We've been trained to get everything from outside, to absorb it into us. And then we believe that those thoughts are our thoughts when those thoughts actually all came from outside. And we believe that those are, ours and who we are. We don't realize the very nature of what we are. We ignore that because one, it's so intimate to us. It's so constantly here that it's hard to pay attention to it. It's like when I do the exercise with space, it's hard to pay attention to space because it's always here. Every room you go into, there's space there. There may be all kinds of different objects in each room. You go to someone else's house, there's different things there, different colored walls, but the space is the same. And it's always there. So we don't pay any attention to space. And we pay even less attention to the truth of what we are, our very being itself. That's even more present than space is. So we just don't give it any attention. And this is what awakening is. We let go of our thoughts, and what's left is our being, is reality, is truth, is what's here. And and then we discover, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing there's ever been. Why wasn't I doing this before? Everything I've been seeking has never been close to what this is. Even my dreams or imagination of what enlightenment is not anywhere close to what it is, which is just our very nature, just our very being itself. So that's why I think this practice of the light of God is a good one to use as a way, as a thorn removing the other thorns, as one thought, to reduce all thoughts to one thought, to let all thoughts dissolve in one thought. And God is a good one, right? Because I think most of us experience God as something much bigger than me as a person, much bigger than the world, much bigger than the universe, much bigger than something more, right? And the more we don't have any attachment to that word, the more we can say, I don't know what God is. It's just something more. I don't have any concept of it. The better we are. If you have too many concepts with that word, then use universe or the self with a capital S um, or consciousness awareness. Rupert Spira says everything is consciousness awareness. Eckhart Tolle, everything is the universe. And they both say this body is a localization of consciousness awareness or a localization of the universe. But it isn't really a localization at all. That's only our thoughts. It is the universe. It is consciousness awareness. It is the light of God. There is no localization. It's all just this. That's awakening. When we realize that this being that we are is the being of all existence. There is no separation at all in this. And that's why love is truth, because it's not what we think it is. It's not like Valentine's Day hearts. There's a little element of that in it, but it's the reality that there is no separation. And the experience of that is love, is a profound unconditional love. Not anything that we think or understand, just the direct experience of it. Thank you, Pedro. Yeah, I'm happy that you're sharing your experiences because I think it's very useful to this, and you express them very well, from your heart, from your experience, from authenticity, and I think it's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for this. It was amazing.
If anybody else has another question, you can unmute yourself and or a statement. You can unmute yourself, and if not, we'll continue on for another 5 minutes or so of silence and stillness. But please do this practice. Hi, Pamela.
Hi. This is my first time here, so thank you. And I guess I learned of you with the summit that the Pure Presence Summit.
Yeah.
This is really the first opportunity I've had to come on this, so I'm grateful to be here. So thank you. And I guess my question is with the like, when you say with the thoughts and you're practicing, everything is, oh, this is the light of God. This is like, and you say eventually everything kind of just dissolves, and then even that thought goes away. So I'm just curious, like, when you get to that point, is it just really a point of living from your heart, or like do thoughts not come into, like, I'm just always curious about it. It's hard to imagine, so I like to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, you do live from your heart. Yes, very much so, because you're living from love, as your being itself is love. So it's not something that you do, it's just something that you are. So you live from being, from what you are. And the dissolving part in this practice is that if you keep doing this, for instance, if you say, well, you hold up like a leaf, or a leaf. Here's a leaf. You hold up a leaf and say, "This is a leaf. I know what this is. It comes off such and such a tree," and you say, "It's the light of God." No, it's the light of God. So you just keep sort of repeating that in your mind until you've reconditioned your mind to say, this is the light of God. And then those other thoughts dissolve. You feel them dissolve. They just sort of fade into the background leaf. You don't lose them. If someone says, what is this? And they're not someone that would appreciate you saying it's the light of God. You say it's a leaf, right? You still have all that. But to you, you've let go of that. And also the light of God. And it's just this incredible presence, this amazing, miraculous presence beyond thought is what you experience with absolute love. It's just your experience of it. But the practice of the light of God is you just keep repeating this, because your mind is going to say, no, it's a leaf. It's the light of God. No, it's the light of God. It comes from this tree. It's the light of God. The tree's the light of God too. And you keep just saying that, and you can see because your mind, all our minds have been programmed. They've been programmed just like a computer, like brainwashing. Every single one of us, all our thoughts are brainwashing. They just are. It's not. There's no nefarious person behind all this. It's just the way society is. So we've all been conditioned. Our thoughts have all been conditioned. And this is a way we're reconditioning our thoughts to one thought, and the other thoughts eventually dissolve, just as they did when we were programmed. We might not have had, but people who have a spiritual practice, sometimes we're taking new thoughts that are spiritual thoughts and we're letting go of the other ones. We're reprogramming our mind to believe a spiritual thought and letting go of the other thought that wasn't so spiritual. Right. So we're engaging in this reprogramming all the time, but we're still lost in thoughts. And this is a way that we let go of all thoughts and directly experience reality, which is a phenomenal experience. It is the most incredible experience that any human ever experiences, is simply the letting go of thoughts and the realization of reality as it is without any thoughts. And to the thoughts, it's like, well, I'm afraid. I don't want to do this. Well, I won't be able to function. I can't go to work. I can't engage with my, in my relationships. I can't do it. I just sit here and not be able to move or something. Thoughts will come up with all these ideas and these fears about this, but none of that actually happens because, as we can see, there's many awakened humans, not that many, but there are some, and you can see them on YouTube and other places, and they're not incapable of functioning. They're teaching people, they're moving around, they're eating food, they're writing books, they're doing all kinds of things. And they're just happier than most people. That's the only result that you really see. They're happier, more at peace, and more loving than most people, and seem to have more wisdom. So it's all a good thing. And if we look at that and say, all my thoughts about that, not really true. They're just fearful thoughts. It's not real because look, these people are doing this and they're not incapable of functioning or anything like that. And then you see in your experience that when you let go, how freer you are. Even if you let go of one thought that's been bothering you, you feel happier and freer and you function better. And when you let go of all thoughts, you function even better. Letting go of thoughts doesn't mean they're erased. right? Like erasing a blackboard or putting a magnet to a hard drive. It's not, you're not erasing the thoughts. All thoughts are available. It's just that you're not attached to them anymore. That's all. You're not attached to them. You don't believe that they're truth. You say, these are just thoughts. If they're useful, use them. If they're not useful, ignore them. If they're not useful. Most fearful thoughts aren't useful. Just, let them come and go. Just don't give them any attention. You don't have to try and do that. You just don't do it. You just don't do it. If a thought is useful, it'll come up and be used, and then it's gone. And then if another thought is useful, it'll come up and be used, and then you let it go. You don't hold on to anything. Because this world is changing all the time. I mean, everything that we see is in constant change. So it doesn't make sense to hold on to anything. It's changing. Be in this moment with what's happening in this moment. That's the way to live. That's the most intelligent way to live, is to live in this very moment, fully in this moment, embrace this moment. And then when it comes time to the end of the body or somebody that you love passes away, you've been totally present with them all the time. There's no regrets. You've been 100% with them the whole time, and with you and with life. And when it comes time for your body to go, there's no regrets. You've been 100% there. There's nothing missing. There's nothing, oh, I should have done this. There's no should haves. Everything is here in this moment. Everything is perfect in this moment. This moment is the only time that's real. And when we're lost in our thoughts, we miss that, which Eckhart Tolle is so good about teaching on. If we miss this moment, we've missed our life. We have literally missed our life. We're living in a fantasy dream of the future or past. It's never been real, just like our sleeping dreams. Only this moment is real, and it's not what we think it is. It's so much more than that, so much more than any of us could ever think about, could ever imagine. And that's how we live. We live present in this moment in enormous gratitude, not because we're trying to or we're repeating an affirmation about how we should be grateful. We just are grateful. Not that we're having some thought that we should be loving. We just are. It's just the nature of what we are in this moment, this amazing moment.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Pamela. Okay, we'll do a couple of minutes of this wonderful silence, bliss, whatever it is. I don't know. Thank you, my friends. I'll see you next Monday.
Thank you.